Hello and welcome to the Kaizen Academy podcast. I'm Justin and I'm here with my co-host Cal. What's up, Cal?
Yo, hello, how you doing?
How you doing? I'm pretty good. I think I mentioned earlier that I recently signed up to a BJJ competition, so I'm doing my training arc at the moment, Cal.
Oh,
Got 1 month to get good, so I'm pretty excited.
very relevant, very relevant. I've been watching too much shonen, like, I know exactly what you talk about, man. You said training arc? Yes.
Yeah.
We're going through like a maze and we're fighting people and we're powering up, you know what I mean? Yeah.
What's your favorite? What would you say your favorite shonen anime is?
It's like from memory and from what everyone has said, it still is Hunter x Hunter. But I haven't seen that in a really, really long time. It's just so many episodes, so I haven't really like returned. It's not one of those things where I'm like, let me watch 150 episodes again. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty long.
but Demon Slayer, god damn.
Demon Slayer.
Demon
We've
Slayer's up
both
there.
recently watched the movie. Oof,
Yeah.
shooketh. I loved it.
Oh my god. I cannot stop talking about it with all my students. Like, my lessons this week, I was like, you guys need to go watch it, man. Like, what are you guys doing? Take a break. You deserve it. Go
Stop
watch
studying.
it.
Go watch
Yeah.
Demon Slayer.
I know they all study enough. It's like,
Yeah.
freaking-
Everyone needs a
my
break.
God.
And that's a
Everyone
good break
needs
to
a break,
take.
for sure.
That's a good break to take.
Yeah, man. I'm like, we haven't, as a society, we have not seen movies in a long time, man. Like, I think we came back for Tenet. I came back for Tenet. Did you watch Tenet?
No, I didn't.
So it's like, a lot of people haven't been back to the cinemas. It's like a unique experience. It's just so fun to be back watching movies with other people.
It is. Going to cinema is a fun experience.
100%, man. It's just one of those things in life, Being grateful for the small things. I remember talking to Patty about this. We were like eating after uni or like work,
Yeah.
and we were just like, man, eating is so good, man. Like, just it's purely one of the joys of life. And I was like,
it is,
this
really
so
is,
good.
yeah. Eating
It
good
is
food.
so good. Yeah,
I feel like we're
good
pretty
food with people,
blessed in Sydney. We've got like a
Yeah.
lot of variety of food.
for sure. I feel like I can drive around, go up to Burwood, get this certain time, drive over here, stay here even in Cabra, and like we get the amazing
Get
like
some good Vietnamese food.
good Vietnamese food, man. Like serious, and like like actually, like I think we take that for granted. So every once in a while it hits me. I'm like, damn, I could really just get good food whenever I like, and a good range as well.
Right. So this episode, we're going to be talking about how to land an internship. So both Cal and I both have had like multiple internships, mostly in the tech, like on the tech side of things. So I studied computer science. Cal studied electrical engineering. But you've been doing like software type internships as well, right?
Yeah.
Do you mind like just running us quickly through like what your experiences have been?
Yeah. Real quick, even though I'm finishing my electrical engineering degree, just the software side is a bit more enticing, and a lot of my friends, personally, Justin included, and acquaintances are all in the tech industry as well. So like it's something that I've gravitated towards. But yeah, I had an unpaid internship at the beginning of 2020 for like 5-6 months, where I was just doing basic web development, and then which was rough, but that was like I learned so much. And it's rough because it's unpaid, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a bit anyways. And then at the end of 2020 I had the opportunity to do Salesforce. Wasn't a tech based or technical role, but it's in a tech company. It was more so like client facing, I guess consulting, almost like tech consultant. And yeah, so that was a completely 180 in terms of the responsibilities that that I had compared to the unpaid internship at the beginning of 2020, because back there all I was doing and all I was learning was pretty much just coding, web development. And then like with this one it was more like talking to clients, hearing their problems out, building solutions. The role itself was called solution engineering. That was for a few months. It was like a summer vacation program. Their conversion isn't very they're not like very liberal with it. It's not like, oh, you get a grad, everyone get a grad. It's not like that. If that was the case, it would be really nice.
Yeah.
And my competition was very fierce.
Yeah.
Every other intern I went up against was unbelievably
Switched
good
on.
at that role. Yeah, so switched on. They were seriously so good. Like, there wasn't even an exception. There was not a single candidate in there that I was like, yeah, I think I'm better than this person. It's like, nah, everyone's so damn good. But I guess they all came from more like business backgrounds. Some did. somewhat engineers as well, very similar to myself, but they were a lot more social than I was. And although although it doesn't look like I'll be landing that grad role, I think I learned so much. And I think a lot of the things that I'll be talking about, I'll be talking about later on with you guys, is just really drawing from what I've seen from them, because they have been like the exemplary interns that I've met in my life. And I'm just like, and every time I meet them, like new people like this, I'm always like, what's like really made your success? You know, I'm always like picking their brains. So hopefully I can share some of their experiences. I'll keep it all anonymous. But yeah, that's been basically it. 2020 was like my intern year, just like intern at the beginning, intern at the end. I'm done now, so I'm looking. For any companies out there watching, I'm unemployed. I'm a fast learner. I'm a great communicator.
I think you're selling yourself too short, Cal. But in terms of my experiences, I was at Transport for New South Wales for a while, for like half a year. I was doing like IT type stuff specifically. I was doing a lot of software engineering, a lot of front end like web development. And then after that, I worked at UNSW as a research assistant for a while. That was a good experience. And at the moment, I'm working at a tech company as a machine learning engineer intern. So I feel like we both have like a decently wide range of like experiences with internships. Very much still centered around tech though. So I feel like a lot of the advice we have is really applicable to like most people. Like if you're in business or you're in engineering, I feel like the processes are relatively similar, but maybe if you're doing like stuff from like humanities or like just like architecture, I would imagine the interviewing project, the interviewing like processes is a bit different. But I'm sure you'll still take something away. Look at more the general principles rather than maybe the exact concrete details. But if you're a computer science student, this is basically for you, because that's where all of our experiences come from.
I mean, look, I don't want to like beat a dead horse. I don't know if that's the right expression, but in terms of selling myself short, it's like I feel like in this case, Justin is this man is the benchmark. Let me just say that. All right, so everything that comes out of his mouth in a minute is gonna be some hot facts, right? And personally, speaking from personal experience, this man has helped me quite far in terms of landing quite a few, like both interns, to be honest, and even. Like, because right now I am unemployed and I'm still looking around, right? A lot of interviews. I've managed to like secure. Sorry, what did you say, Justin?
It's that time of year, or the grad positions or the internships are coming out. Yeah.
So yeah, serious. This man, you can see his resume, proven. I feel like I might be here just to kind of be in the background, just like cheer on. Because you know my background is not that. I'm not that confident in this, but. I've hit my lows, so I feel like I can at least share my experience in that regard.
That's very nice of you to say, Cal.
I mean, all facts, man.
Okay, so the first thing is I've got to start doing this more because we want to promote our podcast. If you've watched a few episodes of the podcast, subscribe to keep up with us. But the first point I wanted to bring up was. Just kind of thing that I saw from like a video from this guy called Sean Lee, and he kind of broke down internships into like two processes. There's only two things you need to do to land an internship. Okay, the first step is get an interview somehow, and then the second is do well on the interview, and that's really all you need to get an internship. Of course, like that's easier said than done. But I think it really points to the fact that finding an internship is simple. Like you just need to do these things. It's not like super complicated, but it's not easy per se. But I feel like once we break down all of these two like steps into smaller substeps, then you'll be able to kind of more strategically work your way through like your internship finding journey, figuring out, okay, what are my weak points right now? Do I need to work on step one more, finding the interviews, or am I getting a lot of interviews and I need to work on step two more, doing well on the interviews, and just having a good like framework of how to think about these things is insanely useful for being able to kind of debug your internship finding process, I guess.
Man, that's facts. Serious. Like, And that's what I mean when I said like Justin's really helped me literally do that. I think that's perfect. Like debug so many of the things that were just going wrong, and like, oh, and you know what, man, it just keeps coming back to that, like selling myself short. I know I do it as a joke sometimes, and I feel like it might sometimes trickle out, and I do it a bit seriously. I think over the past few months, I've learned that like, you know, everyone has something to offer, and you really got to learn to value yourself. And once you start seeing the value in yourself, a lot of these steps that we talk about, they come a lot easier, and you come into them with a lot more confidence. So yeah, don't let my like it's like self-deprecating humor or whatever. Don't let that kind of get to you, and like I hope you guys don't really model yourself after that. But yeah, like a lot of this stuff is just confidence, like knowing what you have, because you've got something, man. Like you guys have worked hard. I'm assuming wherever you are right now, if you're applying for something, you've worked hard, right, and you've got something to offer. Always believe in yourself, kind of thing. But yeah, sorry, just wanted to echo those points. Definitely
did. And like even in like, okay, maybe you're in the rare case where you accept deep down that, oh, you've been super lazy. You still got to believe in yourself in the sense that, okay, you can change things, you can become better, you can put yourself in better positions. So I think that's a very good point, Cal. Got to believe in yourself.
Serious.
Okay, so so these two steps are kind of how we're gonna come back to all the time throughout this podcast. Step one, get an interview. Step two, do well on the interview. Simple.
Right. I like that. It makes it less daunting of a task, and daunting of an endeavor, I guess. Right. You guys can do this. 2 things, man. Know these 2 very simple things.
Okay, so I guess logically, the first place to start is to step 1, getting an interview. So the first point I wanted to bring up is kind of the most important thing, of course, in terms of getting the interview. You can pretty up your resume, you can do all these things, right? But at the end of the day, the most important thing is to have actual experiences that are useful, that you can put on your resume, and then that you can talk about during interviews, right? And I guess I've kind of written out like kind of what I think is like the hierarchy of experiences that you can have to that are like better, I guess, in terms of finding yourself an internship. So we'll start from the lowest tier, Cal. Extracurricular activities and part-time jobs that are not in the field. So these experiences still valuable. So what I'm talking about is stuff like working at McDonald's, or working in retail, or working like I personally worked as a lifeguard for a while. So these are work experiences that are not related to your degree at all. None of the skills transfer over, but you're still working, you're still putting your time towards something productive. So what do you think of these ones, Cal?
I remember very early on, I personally didn't get this experience, and I feel like these were one of my few regrets, like just growing up and like going through uni. I didn't get any retail experience, but I feel like I remember speaking to someone, like a friend of mine who was a lot older, and she was like very deep in her career, and she's like, yeah, like even if you work in retail, you know, it really demonstrates this person is a functioning professional employee, or can be a functioning employee, right? And that in itself, especially when you're fresh, right? And this is obviously because we're at the lowest level, we're talking about like real fresh graduates, or say fresh second year, first year, right? And you're looking for the first industry like relevant role, right? You have nothing to go by. So things like this, they can be very valuable. They can be a differentiator, you know, compared to, and I think this was what I struggled with the most, because I was tutoring. Like the second I came out of second I came out of high school, pretty much just started tutoring. So I didn't really have this on my resume, and I always felt like I was a step behind. It was a little harder to really show an employer that, hey, I can work in a professional environment. I can work in teams, and I can communicate well and stuff like that. I didn't know how to spin my own experience, but I saw a lot of my friends who did have retail experience, and that was always, you know, you got to find some way in. And for a lot of us, for a lot of my friends, that was their way in. And then from there, you know, you kind of prove yourself, prove your worth. But I think still really important. And, you know, obviously it's something not to spend too much of your time, too much of your energy in, but to have on your resume, yeah, better than nothing, man.
Definitely. And like you were saying, like a lot of, so while you might not be building skills exactly in your field, you're still building usually interpersonal skills, being able to work with other people, being able to work with a manager. You might think that's like, oh, that's like, you should just naturally be able to do that. Nah, it turns out that's not a thing. You got to really learn to like be able to like accept advice from other people, or like, okay, like learn how to like actually do things when you're told to, like, okay, go like do that. And then like, you got to learn to like self manage, like, okay, how do I do that? If I don't know, who do I ask? Or like, how do I articulate myself to figure out what the problem is? Because I feel like a lot of times, if you've never had these experiences, if you're just fresh out of high school, sometimes you just come out and you're like, you expect to be babied, like hold my hand every step of the way, like you were like throughout your schooling, and that's not it. That's not how the working world works, right? You gotta be able to hold your own. So valuable experiences. If you have nothing else on your resume, this is still something. But
and don't sell yourself short. Like, this is still something. Make sure you sell it like correctly, man. Like, don't be like, yeah, I've done retail. That's all I've done. Sorry. It's like, no, like, you've done retail. Tell them about the responsibilities you had to take on, like, during that time. Tell them about like any, like, it might be minor, but like maybe like some kind of achievement. And I think one of the things that we'll talk about later, like behavioral questions, they all rely on your experience. So this experience, even if you can't sell it in that moment, there will be moments while you work as a McDonald's or as a retailer, right, that you will need to bring up, like, oh, we had to make this decision. I had to sacrifice this short-term goal and to achieve this long-term goal, and you need anecdotes, right? And all these anecdotes come from your experience. And even if it is from from McDonald's or from some retail, they still value it. As long as you can tell that story and as long as it relates to what they're looking for, it still works out, man. So don't sell yourself short, even if you're on this like bottom rung, I guess.
And other like, I guess, extracurricular activities that I will put on this tier as well would be like societies that are unrelated to your degree or your field. Like for me, it was the Anime Society, or like just volunteering for random things at uni. Like UNSW has like yellow shirts, or like the pink shirts or whatever. So there are a lot of these opportunities, and that's the good thing about these opportunities. There are very low barriers of entry, and it's your first step to gaining experiences. That being said, this is like, I would say, the lowest level of experience. If you have an opportunity to spend your time at any of the higher levels, you always want to move up to a high level if possible. So I guess that segues into the next one, which is extracurricular activities, uni activities, and personal projects that are in your field. And to give a few examples, just say for computer science, right? Computer science specifically, it's really easy to make personal projects. You can just go online and start like looking up tutorials,
Very
start
DIY.
building something. Yeah, very DIY. But so if your field has something like that, like in design, you can start just doing your own designs, posting them online, building a portfolio, right? So if you're in one of these fields, lucky you can do personal projects. But otherwise, at uni, there are like heaps of opportunities to do things that are related to your field. Being a tutor is one of them.
Engineering, right?
Say engineering, right? I guess first and foremost would be just do well in your classes, and then you can become a tutor in your later years. You get paid a lot, and then it's also like money. It's also relevant experience, right, Cal?
Yeah.
Because it's in your field. It shows that, okay, this guy knows their stuff in their field. Other things are like, keep an eye out on like extracurricular activities that have to do with your field.
What was the one that you were in, Justin? Because I remember you did for a little while. Oh no, we were in together.
We were in SunSwift.
SunSwift, that's right. And that's honestly, if I wanted to go down, or if we wanted to go down an electrical path, that would be really good, because they really put you on serious projects. They put you on serious design projects, and I could really see myself. We didn't see it through. Spoiler alert, we went in for like a few weeks and we're like, this is too damn hard.
Yeah, we got scared off, bro.
Yeah, and our allegiance to electrical engineering was already wavering.
So
it was very hard to commit. But now looking back, I could very see, like, if we committed like a good year there, had projects under our belt, oh man, like in the interview, I'd have so much to talk about. assuming that it's relevant to the line of work that I'm looking for, right? And
to,
you
and
did
to,
another one, right?
just to give
sorry.
the listeners context to what SunSwift is, at UNSW there's this student engineering team that builds a solar powered car, and once every 2 years they do this like race against like other unis from all over the world, who build their own solar powered cars, and they just do a race. So there's so many like different roles in the team. There's like business roles, there's marketing roles, there's like, of course, engineering roles, right? Mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, even software engineers. So it's a really good project. So if you're at UNSW and you're doing one of those like areas, such a good like way to get experience.
And,
But
and
sorry,
what was the other one that you did, Justin? Could you just like walk us through? Because I think you committed to that one quite long, right?
yeah, that one was a bit longer. The other one was called BlueSat. So what they did was they kind of did like designs for like CubeSats, which is like little things that you launch into space, and then they're just like satellites. I don't think
Like
any
weather
of
satellites, like what do they do?
I don't know, to be honest. I wasn't very good. I
You're
wasn't a
just
very
a technician. You were just working.
Yeah, I wasn't a very good electrical engineer, so I barely knew what I was doing. But I learned a lot.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
people who were on top of their stuff like taught me a lot of things, and that's one of the values, I guess, of like these I think they're called student-led projects. You meet people who are like in the high years. They can teach you a lot.
And it's always so much easier to learn from like a peer.
Yes.
Like, and this is it. This is your connection to those peers that are ready, like just knowledge rich, ready to like walk you through these things, walk you through like concepts and things like that. And look, it's just like what we're talking about is basically networking. It's like you don't have to actively network. Just put yourself in these positions, and you'll find yourself mingling with the right people, learning the right things, and then the right opportunities might even pop up, right? But yeah.
So yeah, another one. So like we know most of them because we both attended New South Wales UNSW. So the ones we know of are UNSW, but keep an eye out for the ones at your unis. At UNSW, there's also
O-Week.
Redback Racing. O-Week.
Yes.
O-Week's a good place. They always have like a display. Our
Check
friend
them all out.
to check them all out. Our friend did Redback Racing, which is more for mechanical engineers. They build like Formula One cars, and it's so good. Like you're getting like actual experiences that are like building the technical skills that are in your field.
Yeah. They're not really building Formula One cars. Don't want to hype anyone up too hard.
Sorry.
They're building open wheel races, like little single seater open wheel races.
Yeah, I am a bit ignorant about cars.
No,
I
got
apologize.
a little excited. No, that's fine. That's fine. Still want anyone like coming to UNSW? What a Formula One car's at, man? Like,
Yeah, this Justin guy talking too much shit.
unsubscribe, bro. I mean, I didn't want to lose a subscriber. You don't know.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so that's the next tier up, and I personally would say this is the area that most students don't pay enough attention to. A lot of people have part-time jobs. A lot of people do like random society work. This is the one that you want to keep an eye out for because it's got about the same barrier of entry as like the tier we've just talked about, stuff unrelated, but you get so many valuable experiences. And I would say a thesis is also in this tier. So if you do a thesis,
True. Yeah.
that's essentially a huge personal project. So if you've done a thesis, put it on your resume, talk about it in your interview because that's one of the most valuable things.
That Justin helped me do. I did my thesis and I sold myself short every single time, but like kind of seeing the value in that, putting it on my resume has gotten me quite far. So thanks for that, Justin. Appreciate it.
All good. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is unpaid internships in your field. So these are more prevalent in some areas in some fields than others, but I think you know my opinion, Cal, but then do you want to talk about your experience first?
Because like my first intern was unpaid, as I mentioned before. It's a bit of a hot topic sometimes. Like you ask the right people and you'll be like, ooh, workers' rights, is this even legal? Look, putting ethics aside, if you are desperate and you are looking for some real world experience, as a uni student, we can't say no. You know what I mean? If you have and that's the thing, like I said, putting ethics aside and let's assume that you have the capacity to take these projects on or take these experiences on. look, knowing that, let's hope that you're still staying at home. Let's hope that you don't have to work too hard to cover rent or something like that. You can take on these roles. I think they are seriously, like, they're rough, but you learn so much out of these. Just like my thesis, but more, honestly. So I had a thesis, so I guess I could speak on that as well. But that felt like work experience. But then once you're really sitting in a company, working with real people, meeting deadlines, and like building projects for actual stakeholders, that's when I think it clicks, and it's like, yeah, you learn at such a rapid rate, because you don't really pay attention to it. You're just like, I'm in the mix, I'm going, and then like 6 months is over, and I look back and I'm like, oh my god, like I learned so much as a computer science student. Like, I went into my role as an electrical engineering student knowing almost no coding, right? And within like a few months, I was very up to speed, to be honest, with the other interns who were computer science students themselves, right? And so I think that was really like a testament to how quickly I was able to learn. Not like a testament to myself, but just testament to how much you can learn in these types of experiences. So yeah, I'm a big fan of having one unpaid internship. That's what Justin mentioned last time too, I think, right? We're only having one. We're not trying to slave away, right? And like we were saying at the beginning, you know, you gotta respect yourself. You know, you're worth more than that. Do not let like a company like continually slave you through unpaid interns, right? One unpaid intern, you know, because we must. And that's the thing, like, this is a hierarchy. So if you can get something higher than this, then all right, there's no reason for you to be looking at unpaid. But for me personally, I was very desperate. I was very lazy in uni, so it was very hard for me. So, you know, I reached out, and honestly, I still look back and I don't regret a thing. And I think that's my takeaway, right? Learned so much.
And I think that's such a good point, Cal. Like, yeah, you can get like up in arms about like workers' rights and like the ethics of it, and I would agree. Like, yeah, these companies probably shouldn't be doing these things, but it's really a supply and demand issue. Like, if you don't have the technical skills and experiences to back yourself up and get a paid internship, and some students can just without doing an unpaid internship. If you're just a gun at uni and do a lot of personal projects and extracurricular activities, you can land a paid internship. But if you're not in that position, don't get up in arms and like put yourself in a worse position to kind of send a message to the corporate world, because it's going to be unheard, and you're just letting yourself down.
yeah, unheard. I feel so bad, but it's like, yeah, like underlying, it's a good cause, you know, like, you know, fighting for your rights, like, yeah, technically, right? But like you said, it's okay, you fight for it, and it's like, it's a lose-lose. It's like, let's look at your situation. You're trying to get somewhere in life, right? We're trying to help you, right? Like, just think about yourself first. And I think if you think about yourself first, you'll realize, okay, I'm probably going to get more out of this. But also, disclaimer, right? Make sure that when you get to this unpaid place, they're not making you get like coffee for them, right? Let's make sure they're not just making you do admin, because there's also that side of unpaid internships. I was very blessed to like be injected straight into like a software engineering team, very closely knit team, like, and I was working with a senior engineer, and he was like pretty much my mentor. So any question I had, I could ask, and fantastic environment. I learned so much. But it's like, if they plug you in, and then all of a sudden they start expecting things, and then I don't know, they make you do chores, and they make you do like random admin stuff that's not relevant. Okay, then reevaluate your situation. Be very careful with this, because it is a bit of a slippery slope. UNSW is very serious about this, because for industrial training, you got to file through all these papers to prove that you're actually learning something when you apply for an unpaid internship. But yeah, I think for the most part, I don't think, or I hope that you don't find yourself in those positions. And if it isn't, and you have an opportunity to learn, come on, man. Like, you go to uni, you pay for uni. This is an opportunity for you to learn for free. So it's like, if you can get yourself through it, go for it, man. Go for it.
And I think that's a good way to look at it, actually. I think unpaid internships, you really got to look at it as a transaction. Like, okay, I'm giving you my time and effort, and you're giving me, like, you're teaching me a lot of skills. And if you're not learning anything at your internship, that's not worth it. But if you are actually learning a lot of things at your internship, it's such a valuable experience, because it's direct experience that's going to be directly applicable to like your jobs later on, right? Yeah, you can do these like related things like tutoring at uni and doing related projects at uni, but it's just not the same as actually working in a proper work environment. So that's why we're putting unpaid internships just a step above extracurricular activities, because they're both unpaid. One of them, you learn a lot more than the other.
So much more relevant. Like, what is it? Like, especially in software, right? We work in, or like a lot of big tech companies, they work in agile teams. See, things like that you won't get an opportunity to brag about on your resume if you're working in like a university project or something like that, right? There are no stakeholders, there are no deadlines that are real serious or as serious as like a company. Just like, I worked at a startup, so I mean, we had to work our asses off or else the company was going under. Like, especially with COVID coming around, I remember like our CEO was very worried, like, no, everyone's working their asses off. And so in that case, I think, that really just reflects very well with other employers. Like, how much better can it be? It's like, I literally did that job already. It's like, why am I a good candidate for your role? I literally did that job already. I wasn't paid, but I did that job already. I know exactly what it is. Put me in the team and I'm ready. I'm ready to go, kind of thing, right? So yeah, if unpaid is the only thing you can get, man, go for it. Don't put your pride aside, ego aside, right? You're here to learn. And a transaction, I love that, because I remember at my unpaid place, after about 5 or 6 months, there was like a learning curve kind of like tapering off, or things got busy so that we couldn't learn as rapidly as before. And I remember like the both of us, me and the other intern, were like, all right, our time here is slowly coming. Like, as a transaction, it's like, I wasn't
We've
learning
learnt
enough, or we've learned enough, right? And I feel like I could find other places, so I'll look at other places. I love that transaction, right? Make sure you're getting something out of that.
And now the holy grail, what better way to land an internship than to have already had a paid internship, right? And like, it's kind of like, well, what's the point, right? Well, like, some places are more prestigious than others. Like, you have your Googles of the world, you have your Canvas. I don't know about other fields. Like Dolby's pretty good for electrical engineers, I'd imagine. So, you know, like, the way to get into these companies often is to work your way up. Like, you start off with a paid internship in another company, and then next year you get into Google. Not that either of us have gone into Google, but this is how I'd imagine it works.
All conjecture. Google, if you're listening, we're hard workers, you know. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, I guess this is just everything. Like, this is just strictly better than unpaid internships, because one, you're getting paid, but two, companies that pay you are generally more legit, I feel like. This might be, it's not a hot take. Companies that pay their interns are generally like better places. I think you learn more from them. Yeah,
definitely. There's a stamp of approval. It's like, oh, he's on record. He's actually a real worker, you know. It's very hard to dispute a paid working person. So yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's the hierarchy of experiences. I think this is one of the most useful things of how to think about your internship finding journey. You want to be working up step by step, right? Maybe you can skip one step, but it's kind of hard to skip all of the steps, right? You're not going to go from 0 experiences to paid internships straight away. You got to build on your experiences. So think about which step you're at and look to move to the next step up. All right, the next point that I wanted to bring up was find out what technical skills are used in your field and learn them. I think a lot of times that you're at uni, you're kind of disconnected from, like, there's a disconnect between what you learn at uni and what's actually used in your field. So go look it up, go Google it. If you know someone in real life, that's even better. Ask them, okay, what are the hard technical skills that you can learn? So that you can talk about it in your interviews and actually land that internship, because everyone talks about the soft skills. Soft skills are important, but I think people underrate the hard technical skills sometimes, because that's like most students don't have those. Like, if you're actually like, yeah, I know this, I've actually done this project before. I know these programming languages. I know these frameworks. I know this engineering software, like, I don't know, like Altium for electrical engineers, like to design PCB boards. Like, figure out what softwares and what tools are used in your field, learn them, employers look like really well on those things.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. I guess the other thing is like certificates as well. Just like kind of like came to mind, like industry certificates. So it's like one of our mates is working as an engineer now, and I was talking to him, and they're making him like one of the first things that they're making him do is get his certificate. And a lot of like now that he's studying for the certificate, he's realized that this exam is just like uni content, things that he learns at uni, right? So look into. I think another good thing is just to like go through the job listings and see what are their requirements. What are they like? Look at the jobs that you eventually want to get yourself into. What are they always requiring? What are the skills that always pop up? Oh, we need this and we need that. We need this language, or we need to make sure you're certified by this, or whatever that is, right? And work towards it. I think some industries or some degrees, yeah, there's definitely a bit of a disconnect because the degrees they're a bit outdated sometimes. So I think electrical engineering kind of falls into this a little bit, where a lot of the softwares that we were using to like say build out circuits and stuff like that, I remember the smarter kids, they always complain like, this is from 10 years ago, it's trash. Like I didn't know anything about this, but I'm assuming they were complaining because the industry standard is that, you know, the industry probably uses something much newer, and it's in there is that disconnect, right? You're learning something that's outdated at uni. So be aware, don't just take the things you learn at uni like, oh yeah, they're teaching it to me at uni, it's relevant. Yeah, there's definitely a side of, you know, you could be learning some irrelevant things because degrees, you know, they might be old, and curriculums and syllabi, they might have been set a really long time ago, haven't been updated. But that's the thing, like, I think with my major in electrical engineering, in telecommunications, there was a lot of relevant information. A lot of the subjects that I chose, like, or electives that I chose were quite relevant to like the interview that I had last week. I was telling you this, Justin, like the guy was just like railing me with just networking questions. And for me, I chose the right electives. I chose electives that were actually relevant in this field that I wanted to kind of go towards. So a lot of the questions, although I didn't answer it this time around because I didn't study for it, I knew I could have done, or I could have answered if I studied for it, if I just looked through my old notes or something like that. So, you know, some uni subjects are valuable. Look into it. Be wise with your electives. That's the thing. I think that's the thing. Like, don't just be like, oh, what's a WAM booster? It's like, no. What subject is actually going to teach you an industry relevant? I remember that one of the last subjects I did like taught me like Azure, like Microsoft Azure, and how to use like that cloud platform. And a lot of that information was asked in my interview. Like the guy was just like, do you know this? Do you know that? Do you know that? And I was like, I swear I know it. I just don't have it right now. So, you know, if you're out there and you're studying and you're picking the right electives, you might find yourself already getting some of these technical skills under your belt. So yeah.
100%. Certificates, they're good. They're like, one, you learn the skill, and two, there's something nice that you can put on your resume or your LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess we've talked like we're still on step one. How do you land that interview? How to find yourself an interview? And I think the two things that we've just talked about are the core things that you should be focusing on throughout the year, right? Finding good experiences and building good skills, because that's the most important part. Because if you have this down, you just have this confidence in you, right? You're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like, it's kind of your loss if you don't hire me. You want to be in that place rather than you don't really have any relevant skills and you're like, well, please hire me. Like, you're trying to pretty up your weaker experiences and hopefully slip through the cracks. You don't want to be in that position. You want to be the guy who's like, yep, I know what I'm doing. Like, I can provide value.
I'll walk somewhere else if you don't hire me. Like, I literally have somewhere to go. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
So build experiences and technical skills. That's the most important thing. But now I guess we'll talk about. Sorry, I'm finding the dot point.
Oh, actually, could I put a pin in that? Just being in that position as well, like being confident. I'm gonna put a pin in that because I think that really plays into how well you do in an interview. And like, I mean, we'll talk more about that later. But you know, that confidence, that air of confidence when you're put in a position of power. For me personally, when I'm put in more of a position of power instead of like clawing at these straw man arguments. I have this skill. I can talk really well. I'm good at Microsoft Word, right? Whenever I've had those positions, like whenever I'm in those positions, I've always felt like, oh, they're gonna see through they're gonna see through my facade, and I've always been so nervous and just overthinking, and then you don't have the time to even do well in the interview. But anytime where I'm like, I don't really want this job anyways, I'll do the interview. I'll go in and it would just be like cool, calm, collected, just throw me any question. Don't know how to answer it? That's cool, whatever. And that's how they want you to, behave. They don't want you to be like, oh, I don't know. Like, a lot of this plays into like how confident or how much confidence you can bring into the interview for yourself.
I'm come right out and say it. If you put Microsoft Word and PowerPoint on your resume, you have not built up enough technical skills. You need to focus on like going back and building technical skills. That's like, I don't care what field you're in. If you're putting those two on your,
for sure.
Like this is a basic expectation. So the next point that I wanted to cover was that this is my opinion, and I think, I don't know. What do you think about this, Cal? I don't think marks matter that much. I think there's diminishing returns after having a distinction average.
Yeah. Facts.
Like every single, maybe it's just in my field. Like if you want to get into research or something, yeah, okay, then marks matter a lot. But if you're trying to get into industry, which is what we're talking about, talking about finding internships. The highest I've ever seen for a WAM requirement is 75, or that's distinction. And I think anything more is you're getting it takes a lot of effort, and I think your time could be better spent doing other things, doing extracurricular activities, building other skills. What do you think about this, Cal?
Yeah, that's definitely it. I just don't want to. I guess for me personally, I was just so against this. Like, oh, marks don't matter. Took it too far, and then got myself down into the credit and past WAM area, and that's somewhere you don't want to be. So it's like it's a hierarchy. I love that you set it out as a hierarchy, man. Like, if you can't do more, then do this, right? If you can't be focusing, or if you can't spend, you find yourself not being able to spend your energy in a paid internship, at an unpaid internship, then spend your energy working on your marks. If that's all that you got, then work on it, right? But yes, be clear or be aware that there are diminishing returns after 75. Similarly speaking, from my experience, I've never seen a place that have like rejected or like had a cutoff at 85 or something like that. Maybe like 3-4 companies in existence that might do that for some very specific role, but yeah, never seen it personally.
Yep, quick and easy point. Marks matter, but there's diminishing returns. Okay, next is resume and cover letter tips. Ooh, I've got big opinions on this one, Cal.
Yeah, and just like literally 2 weeks ago, a month ago, my resume was complete trash, and I came to Justin. Justin hooked me up. So like, listen to this guy. I've been honestly, like, seriously, after I'm not even kidding. I applied for the exact same role, and actually got through, like that Amazon role that I was talking to you about, right? Yeah. I've applied for that role before with my old resume. Never gave me like a day of light, a chance even. I fixed my resume, sent it to the same place. So this, like, I did a controlled experiment.
It's an A/B test, Cal. That's amazing.
I did A/B testing. That's serious. Took Justin's advice, used the resource that he gave me. Followed the style guide that we'll talk about in a second. Applied for the same place, and they gave me like a full call straight away. They're like, "All right, we'd love to talk to you soon. When can we talk?" And it's like, I was just like, "Oh, come on, bro." I don't know why I was so against it, or like I was purely lazy. I was like, "Oh, I have a resume. I can't be bothered updating." I guess not everyone has like this soft copy that they could just like fix around. I had one that was like PDF, and I didn't know where the source was anymore. I was really lazy. But yeah, hit them with your tips. Go for it, Justin.
Yeah. So I think kind of to set the frame of this like conversation, I think you've got to really start thinking of it in another way. You don't want your resume to be just a list of like whatever stuff you're doing, right? Your like experiences, your interests, or whatever. A real person is going to be reading this, and you're trying to make an impression of them. So the first thing I want to say is less is more. Don't dilute your resume with irrelevant stuff, right? I think that's the biggest thing that people That's the biggest mistake people do when it comes to their resume. They have like a 2-page resume, and it's just filled with like irrelevant stuff. I'm like trying to hire a software engineer, and you're talking a bit to me about like that like volunteering experience you did in like year 7. Like it just really like, and maybe you have like relevant experience. Maybe you made like personal projects, right? But by putting all of this irrelevant stuff and making it so long, you've diluted your like resume, right? It's like on average, like every centimeter squared is like just weaker, right? You want your resume to like pack a punch. It should be short, concise, and like every single line I read should be like, ooh, ooh. Like I want to be impressed with every single line. So good things to put are just good sections to have, in my experience. Notable coursework. So just have a quick line.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I used that one. I stole that straight off your resume, Justin. I love that. And that's been... There's not even correct, like not even kidding. The interview I had last week, the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I saw that you put this down. This subject is interesting. Tell me about it." He literally asked, and I put it in there because I really liked that subject. I thought it was very relevant for the role, so I threw it out there. It's good, man. Notable courses, was it?
Notable coursework is how.
It's fire, man.
Yeah.
Fire.
So what I mean by that is just like short one-liner. Just have a colon and then write like the names of all of the notable courses that you've done. Maybe they're relevant to the specific role. Maybe they're just like renowned to be hard courses. Like maybe you've done advanced operating systems and you just want to flex a little bit, right? You want to show off a little bit in your resume. So that's a good one to have. Notable coursework. Relevant experiences is another section. Technical skills, personal projects, things like that. But the general, like the gist of it is less is more. If you have really strong experiences like internships and stuff, you can probably afford to like now phase out the lower level experiences from that hierarchy we were talking about. If you've had 2 internships, it's time to get rid of the McDonald's from your resume, right? It served you well, it got you to where you are now, but you don't want to dilute your better experiences with weaker experiences.
That's facts. That was literally my problem with my resume. Like I still had like volunteering work from year 11, year 12 in it. I was like, and then just looking back, I was like, oh, so dumb. Obviously, they weren't giving my resume a chance, right? But could I just butt in though, Justin? Like, what about because we know the first round of resumes do get scanned by machines, though, right? What about that? Like tackling that? Do you have any advice on that?
Yep. Name drop a lot of like technical skills. Like they scan for that kind of stuff. Generally try to use formatting tools that are easier for machines to pick up on.
Yes,
so don't use
right.
super obscure like things to like create your PDFs. And a good way to test it is just to quickly highlight. You've got your PDF there. Just highlight and see if the words come up.
And
make sure,
words.
and only the words, and like make sure that it doesn't go crazy. But I don't know. Like people talk about it, but I don't have too much personal experience in terms of like having bad experiences with machines filtering out my resume. Yeah. I feel like most companies still like hand read like a lot of resumes.
Yeah, there are definitely companies out there who still hand read it, so it's like not too big of a deal. But I just see it's a big trend where like on the internet I see like a lot of like resume advice and stuff like that. I'll just be scrolling through TikToks and TikTok just knows I'm unemployed and like, here's a video on like advice on how to smash your interview or whatever. But yeah, I see a lot of that advice just because they're like, oh, make sure to there are some hacks I've seen out there where they're like, oh, they look for these certain words, put these words in your resume. I don't know how much you can get back from it. Something you can probably look into, but not like as meaningful as literally just having a good 1-page resume with real experiences, relevant experiences, and written well. Like you said, like eventually, regardless of machine or not, you will have to sit in front of an interviewer or sit with a guy, talk to him or a guy or girl, and they'll be going through your resume and they'll be like, oh, talk about this, or what does this mean, or what about that, right? So someone's still going to read it eventually, so make sure it's readable, I guess, legible.
And in terms of like how long your resume is, it's the age-old question, like 1 page or 2 page. Just do it 1 page. Like I was just saying, if there are definitely niche circumstances where like it's necessary for you to have a 2-page resume. If you're like a researcher and you need to list out all of your like published papers and stuff, right? But this is not for 99% of people who are looking for internships. For most people, if you make a 2-page resume, you're very like it's almost 100% that you're diluting your stronger experiences by putting down weaker experiences.
Yeah.
Just do it 1 page, and if you can't fit stuff on your resume, cut out the weaker stuff. Right?
Yeah.
You want your resume to pack a punch. I'm
Really
very
ask
much
yourself. Yeah, like ask yourself, like, is this really relevant? Like, come on, like, be real, right? Will this really impress you if you were the hiring manager or whatever like that? But also, we're speaking on a very tech company, like from our experience kind of thing. I do know Kelly in her field. Not that they do 2-page resumes, but in her field, it's not necessarily, or in her field, I guess, the formatting and how nice your resume does look kind of impacts it because she works in the design line of work. So just keep in mind, right, in the tech, because we're like STEM based, a lot of STEM based careers, your resume, they don't really care how nice it looks as long as it's like, it's okay. It's like a decent level of niceness, I guess. But besides that, they're trying to look for good content. They're trying to hire a competent employee, right? Show them that you're competent through your experiences.
Next part that I want to talk about is tailor your resume to what would I be impressed by if I was a hiring manager. Just try to put yourself in their shoes. Are you impressed by someone who says, I was responsible for managing this thing, right? Like, not really. Like, I was like responsible for communicating with like stakeholders. That's so generic. It's such a, like, you're not telling me anything.
Yeah.
Just quickly, like things in general that make better lines in your resume, things that are more concrete, things that I've listed it out, things that are accomplishments over responsibilities, and having like numbers are generally good. Like, I organized this event for 300 people. And specifically, I had to do this. I had to book the place. I had to like whatever. Right, is better than organized camp for society. So in general, be more concrete. If possible, numbers are good. Accomplishments over responsibilities.
A lot of this as well, could I just say, like, a lot of this will be a lot easier if you have another person read it. So, drop your guard. I know it's a bit embarrassing sometimes. It's like, I don't have anything. I was in the exact position, right? But it's so much easier when someone else gives you a fresh perspective on your resume. A lot of times you look at your own resume and we say all these things and we want to implement it, but it's very hard to separate yourself from yourself when you read that resume and you go, is this impressive? And you're thinking, yeah, it is. I love this. This is cool. This is my resume. Give it to someone else that you trust. And universities have this service as well. They have like a resume checker, a resume like consulting kind of thing where you can book an appointment. They'll look over your resume. They'll help beef it up and make it appropriate for the industry.
But listen to our advice. Our advice is better than their advice.
True.
I went once.
Watch
I don't
this
know.
video first.
Maybe it's just my ego, but I very much disagreed with some of like at least the person I was talking to.
Okay.
I very much disagreed with their opinion. Because at the end, okay, this is my perspective. This one's a bit of a hot take. People always point towards like going to these career advisors.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think they know what they're talking about. Like, you can't have like someone who's like an expert in like resumes for every single field. Like, if you're a computer science student, you can probably have a better idea than what like just some random like lady that works at the university.
Okay, that's true.
I don't know.
They'll give you very generic information.
Yes.
Okay, that's definitely true. It's like, if you don't even know how to build a resume, okay, I guess it could be something, but can I just say, like, this is not a plug, we're not sponsored, but resume.io that you showed me, Justin, was absolutely just amazing. That thing had templates. That thing was like, fill in like just fields, like a form, and then they'll pack it together for you, nice and neat, right? And I'm sure they've done it in such a way so that it's machine ready, like machine friendly, scanning friendly kind of thing. They like, it's a company, so it's a website. They're professional and things like that. But yeah, I really like that. They do have a 7-day free trial. Build your resume in the 7 days. Maybe build it out, get someone to look at it, come back, fix it up, and then like do touch ups. But then it's 7 days, and then you got to pay like a premium for it. But definitely that was where I built mine after Justin pointed me in the right direction, and it has seen quite a decent amount of success. Like I'll just say I've gotten a notable increase, like an observable increase in replies and callbacks from that.
For sure, that's such a good point. I completely forgot about that.
Okay.
Yes, like like maybe most of the people here listening probably aren't designers. Maybe you're a designer. That's design your own resume in that case.
Yeah, go for it.
But if you're an engineer, right, or if you're like a business student, you're not an expert in design. You're an expert in like talking about your own experiences. Let the resume builders build your resume for you. Make it nice and pretty, right? You don't want to do it in Word and then like maybe you are good at design. I don't know, but if you don't want to worry about that, just use a resume builder online.
It's saving so much time as well. Like literally, like I said, you fill in a form. They go, "What are your experiences?" Fill it in here, and it just packs it in perfectly. I love that. That was amazing for me. If I had the resources and if I needed like my resume to be updated frequently, I would pay for that premium. Like that was how good it was for me personally. But yeah, seriously, look into it. I'm sure, also before you go into it, make sure that you know what you want to write. Because I think at the same time, it's like, have a good resume, but the things that we just discussed or the things that Justin mentioned before, knowing how to actually describe your experiences, I think takes the cake. It's like, if you don't even know how to describe your experiences and you put it all nicely, you're not going to get anywhere, okay? Get the basics down first. I remember talking to Justin. He really helped me. Like, I remember you were like, talking to me about my thesis, and it's like, oh, you should put this, should put this, that, whatever. And then once I kind of had an idea as to like really good things that I wanted to put in my resume, then I went to the resume builder, then I packed it together. I only say that because you only have 7 days of a free trial. You don't want to start a free trial and be like, oh crap, I don't know what to do. Go into it knowing what you want to do.
Okay, and that's about it for resumes. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was more of a mindset thing. These next two things are more mindset things actually. And the first is this is a good advice just for life in general, but this is very applicable for job hunting or internship hunting. Don't be scared of rejection. Instead, seek it out. Right? You should really try to think of it as every single rejection you get is one step closer to achieving your goal of getting the internship. Right? You don't want to be in the position of I'm not gonna get in anyway, so I'm not gonna apply. That is a bad mentality to have. You want to just like there's always a chance that you'll get it. Maybe it's a really low chance, like 0.5% or whatever, but there's still a chance.
Says there's a chance. Yeah, there's always.
And so like if you just shoot out your resume to a whole bunch of places, there's always a chance. But more importantly, I think is you're getting like practice, right? Maybe you get into like just get phone interviews, and then you get more phone interview practice. If you send out your resume a lot and you're not getting responses, it's your resume that's the problem. So you can go back and debug it properly. And that's just in general, don't be scared of failure unless it has very dire consequences. In this case, there aren't really dire consequences. You apply, you get rejected, you feel bad. Even feeling bad is a good thing, right? There's a reason we have negative emotions. This is getting to a deep point, but the reason we like evolved to have negative emotions is because it's a way to motivate ourselves, right? You feel bad, and then hence you'll do something about it. If you just feel like lukewarm all the time, and you never apply for anything, you're just gonna dig yourself into a deeper and deeper hole of never changing. But if you apply for stuff, you get rejected, you feel bad, you work on yourself, you work on your resume. It's a good cycle to have. That's why we have these negative emotions.
Love that.
Anything to add on that point, Cal?
I think on this point, like it's really a mentality thing. So when you start your job hunting, like what is it, like not career, but like the next few months as you start to job hunt or whatever it is, right? And you set yourself personal goals. Oh, I want to get into this place. I want to get into that place. Man, set yourself a failure goal. I want 80 rejection letters. Yeah. Right? Just start there, man. Like, just make sure, because then I know you're actually applying. And that's the first step, isn't it? Like, you're not going to get anywhere if you can't even get to that point, right? So make sure that your goals start really low. And it's like, I think, man, just if you can make your goal to be, to rack up rejection letters, I know you're going to get something very soon. I know you're already ahead of the curve. I know that you're gonna, because you are clearly putting in the effort, right? So I think like get 80 rejection letters, get into 5 first round interviews, or get into this many coding, or get this many coding challenges, or whatever it is, right? Those should be your goals. Just like welcome that like rejection. I think a lot of us grow up like absolutely terrified, mortified with rejection, and then as you grow, you're like, the cliche, it's true. You need to learn to fail. You need to make the mistakes. That's how you learn. There's a reason why they're so damn popular and they're cliched, right? Yeah, don't be scared of rejection. I love that.
And the next one I wanted to talk about was to be proactive. And this one has served me like so well, because I think one thing I've just kind of realized is most people aren't proactive about things. Like, and maybe you feel like, if I like put in the effort, it's not going to be worth it because there's going to be so much competition. Nah, turns out there's not that much competition. Most people aren't proactive at all. So if you're the one that like takes that like step out of the ordinary and do things that are more proactive, you'll stand out so much. Like the research assistant job I got at UNSW was because I was just proactive. I wasn't even looking for a job. I just like emailed a lecturer that was like, oh man, like I'm really interested in like your field. Like, what would you recommend for me to learn more about it? And he was like, want a job, bro? I was like, yeah.
That's
no interview or anything. It was just because he saw that I was proactive. I was like enthusiastic. And he was like, yep, you're hired.
And a lot of your entry level jobs, that's what they're looking for, right? They're looking for, yes, good technical skills, you know, good basis, good background, but they're looking for keen individuals, right? Does this kid come across like he's actually willing to learn the things that I'm going to impart onto him? Is he excited to contribute to our company, or does he look like someone just looking for a paycheck, right? And
looking to coast.
Exactly. Yes. Right. So like you putting that effort, being proactive, is that like that in itself is really like representative of that, I guess that nature. But I think this is like similar to being like active on LinkedIn as well. I feel like that is kind of, there is merit there. I know LinkedIn's not everyone's favorite social media platform. I don't really like it that much either, but I have seen so much success and a lot of the exemplary examples of interns that I've met through my internship career, right? A lot of them were active on LinkedIn, and I've spoken to many of them. They have just come across so many opportunities being active on there. Like I remember one of my friends, she made like a post, I think, on like, oh, you know, really awesome experience at Salesforce, blah, 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 and tagged everyone in it and made like a really awesome, wrote like a whole speech out, and it was really nice and thanking everyone, right? And then everyone's just commenting. And then she's like, and I remember she reached out and she was like, yeah, someone messaged me asking if I wanted a job after that. Come on, bro. And she was like, do you want the job? Because I can't take it. And then I was like, obviously I couldn't take it as well. But that in itself, it's like, be proactive, because a lot of times these opportunities, they don't fall in your lap. You create the luck. That's the thing, right? You create the luck. I think that's really important to understand. Yeah, a lot of people always talk about, oh yeah, I got lucky. No, they put themselves in the right positions and then things fell in, right? So yeah, being proactive in person, emailing pinging people. I think that's the biggest thing I learned from my last internship, was just be comfortable to talk to people. Like I was forced to really just message different managers and talk to them, right? And that was so uncomfortable for me. But now it's just like, yeah, just do it. If you're really curious about something and you really want to know about something, message them. Like hop on LinkedIn and actually write a personalized message of you truly wanting to know about something. And if you do enough of this, or you message enough people, even if you don't get anything from it, I'm sure you learn an unbelievable amount, because a lot of the nuances of the industry that you want to get into, no one can explain to you. You have to hear it for yourself. You have to talk to the people in the industry themselves. So many things that I've learned about, say, software engineering. Like, yeah, all my friends could say so much, but it's like, I only really learned until I sat in that position, I was in that job or whatever like that, right? But yeah, reach out to people, being proactive on LinkedIn or in person, right? At uni as well, that's the thing. I think being like with Justin's, with your experience, some professors, man, they got connections. I also know some people who like got really close to some professors, and the professors are close to some companies, and bada bing, bada boom, and then job. So yeah.
Yeah, one line that you talked about like was really, really like it was so good. I love it. It was that you create these opportunities to be lucky, right? Like, yeah, you can be lucky, like, but the reason people are lucky is because they put themselves in these positions to be lucky in the first place. So next time like you're in a position of deciding, should I do something or not? Err on the side of doing something, because sometimes just because you're like actively just out in the world, serendipitously opportunities will just arise. If you're just stuck in your house all day, not doing anything, you're never gonna even have the opportunity to get lucky.
Yeah.
All right. So we've done step one. I think that's if you do all of the things there, you're gonna land the interview. But
Yeah.
step two, how do you do well in the interview? And the first one we're going to talk about is online assessments.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about here is kind of like, you know, those like little quizzes that people give you,
Yeah.
where it's like some like, it's kind of like
Aptitude tests.
aptitude tests. Yeah.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I have nothing to say here.
Yeah.
Like,
Just do
I
it.
don't know. I think these things are fake news, bro. Like,
Oh, really?
I don't fake news in terms of I don't think they're like indicative at all of anyone's opportunity. I feel like it's starting to fall out of favor. Like at least like a lot of tech companies don't do it. A lot of companies in my field don't do it. I'd imagine maybe they're more common in like more traditional business, like proper business type companies.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't have advice for this. Do it. Hope for the best is what I've got to say. What do you reckon, Cal?
Very much like, remember the UMAT and stuff like that? UCAT and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's like that exam. It's like very vague. I sucked at it. I never did the UCAT, UMAT, and I suck at these things. I just do the best that I can, and then just pray that I get through it. This one, me too. I don't really have a lot of experience here.
Do your best. I think don't bother like studying for or anything. It's like it is what it is. You have better things to do. Don't bother studying for this type of stuff. Next, this one you should spend a lot of time studying for is behavioural interviews. Right? Too many people, I think, they just rock up to a behavioural interview and think, oh, I'll just talk about whatever, right? And then, like, they ask you a question, and then you're like,
oh, that's me.
Okay. No, right? Maybe you are like super, just like your verbal IQ is like super high, and you just like talk like as soon as you're asked a question.
Like crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but most people aren't like that, and even if you are, I think you're better served having previously written down properly, like, and structured properly, like what you want to portray, what response you want to give, right? So I would say in terms of doing well in behavioral type interviews is write down answers, write down a few star responses. Like you can just look it up, but a star response is just a basic format of how to talk about your experiences. It's situation, like what's the situation, task, what did you have to do, action, what did you do, and result, what happened as a result. Really nice format to follow, very easy format to follow, and just write out a whole bunch of stories for yourself, right? And generally, your stories will have themes. So maybe one will be about communication, teamwork, or leadership, or one will be about perseverance and being able to problem solve, right? There's a lot of overlap, and you can reuse these stories in multiple questions, because there's a whole like sort of like there's all kinds of questions they can ask you in behavioral interviews, but generally they'll still be digging into the same things. They're going to be digging into, do you have good values as an employee? So you just want to show that you're honest, you're hardworking, you're I don't know, you're smart, you're able to work with other people. Just come up with like 5-6 different stories about your experiences, and you're golden.
Yeah, it reminds me of English back in high school. It's like pre-write your essays, like a loose essay, and then you go into the exam, and whatever the question is, you tailor it so that it's relevant to that, right? That really hit me when I was reading that. I was like, and that is so true, because no matter what, look, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like I can BS pretty well. I think my verbal IQ is pretty decent, right?
You're a very good talker.
Yeah, exactly. And I've gone into interviews, like the last one I just went into, did not prepare my star responses, even though I read like what were the what were the possible questions they could have asked me. Even though I read it, I just kind of like skimmed over. I didn't really like sit down and put time to what are some stories and collect my thoughts. Still went in and I got stumped. Right, I thought I was like a king. I was like, yeah, I'll just have some coffee or Red Bull right before I'll talk his ear off. That was not the case. Some of these, like, you need to put some time and effort into thinking these stories up. But I love how it's like you can get 5 general stories from your past 3 or 4 years, and those 5 stories will touch on many different elements and themes. And then, depending on what they ask, you can pick from your consortium of stories, right? That is honestly a great tactic. And literally after my last interview, that was what I was going to do. I was going to sit down and just write out like 5 different stories or whatever like that, following the star response. The other thing was obviously don't BS. Don't truly BS. Don't make a story out of thin air, because you know it's always so much harder to lie than it is to talk about your real experiences. You know, like if I ask you about what you did last week, you're gonna be able to like say so easily. You're not gonna have to put in like any effort into like making up a scenario. Just stick with honesty, right? I think honesty is really important, and a lot of employers, from my experience, have really drawn towards me because I've been very honest. Like they've literally said, "Oh, you know, thank you for your honesty. We really appreciate like, you know, you wear your heart on your sleeves," kind of thing. I remember my last interview with like Salesforce, and like when I was presenting, we had to do like a 10-minute presentation about yourself. Who are you? What values do you stand for? And things like that. It was very like fundamental. It was really like a question of my character, and I was very honest with it. I talked about how I failed subjects, what that meant for me, how I grew from those experiences, and they were like honestly like just whoa, like this guy's just straight up. He's so like I guess not afraid to share like who he is, right? And I think sometimes that trumps like trying to just kiss ass kind of thing. Like instead of just googling up what are the 4 values that this company stands for, and then when they ask you what are your values, you're like this value and this value and this value. It's like, come on, bro. They've heard billions, you know, like gajillion interviews. Like they know people, or most people will do that. Set yourself apart by being honest, right? Obviously the other thing was you know, there's also, it's not that looking up their values is completely useless, because definitely it's good when you're going for a company. Like with my last interview for Amazon, I would look up a lot of the advice that I was reading around was look up their values and look back into your experiences and see how your experiences apply to those values. Then you talk about it. But don't just look at their values and then regurgitate their values back to them. They know their values very well. What about your personal experiences and how those experiences are tailored to it? So a lot of times if you go for a company, you can actually like set out a couple stories beforehand if you look up what values you want to talk about, and maybe those are the values that you see on their website or the ones that they really promote. For Amazon, they're very intense about it. They're like, these are our 50 values, and like we're very serious about this stuff. So it was very easy in that sense. But yeah, honesty is really, really important. And I think whenever you're honest, you're much more relaxed, you're much more confident. And like I was saying before, that sometimes is the differentiator. Like that is the straw that breaks the camel's back kind of thing. Like a lot of times just being confident and being able to articulate yourself, it will separate you from the rest of the candidates, I guess. Like, yeah.
Love that honesty. Like being genuine, like not putting on a facade. Like I don't know, I feel like people are like really good at seeing through like your fake stories. Like you don't want to be like, yeah, I don't.
They're professional hiring managers. You know what I mean? It's like they've been doing it as like that's their job. They will see through you very quickly. You're the young one. You know, you gotta play with your strengths and just be honest.
So I guess to just close off behavioral interviews, write out your star responses, be honest about them, be genuine, and also I think actually practice speaking it. Right, you can write it down. That's really useful, but that's just one step. You know, you want to actually practice it as well. What I tend to do is if I have a friend available that's willing, I'll just give them like the questions, like a bunch of questions, and then I'll tell them like, okay, just interview me, and then I'll spout off my star responses. You're a lot like less nervous because it's just your friend. That's a lie.
You still
first time you do it, you're actually kind of nervous, but you get less nervous.
Yeah.
So practice with a friend if possible. If not, just pull out your webcam, record yourself, watch it afterwards. Like what
Yeah.
I've been doing, like what I did in the last time I was preparing for interviews was, I just asked myself like the question. I just read out I was playing two characters, Cal. I read the question as an interviewer,
Sociopath stuff.
and then I answered as like Justin,
Yeah.
the
Oh, not
hiree.
sociopath. Multiple personality disorder kind of energy. Yeah.
This guy's a psycho.
Yeah. No, that's good, but a really good use of your time, 100%. Just like how you do past papers for the real exam, you know what I mean? Just do the actual interview with someone. A bit embarrassing at first, can be hard. Oh, can I also say though, hop on Glassdoor, right? Oh, come on, man. Like, if it's a popular type of interview, if you're going for big companies, those roles and those positions have, like, they're historical. And people always, like, for me personally, that role was very popular. I Googled it, I looked up Glassdoor, and people who have gone through the
They
same
just
process.
listed out the questions.
They just list out what questions they were asked and what. And honestly, I didn't put too much mind to it because I didn't know exactly what my position was. So it is very niche and personal. But if I read through those and actually put time to answering and actually studying up those things, I think I would have killed the exam. For me, I just skimmed over it, and then after the interview, I just felt so dumb. I was like, I should have just looked at those things. But yeah, Glassdoor has like passed a lot of interview questions and experiences that people will share up there.
Insanely helpful resource. Okay, next, assessment centers. And I've got a special trick.
I don't have anything in this, so
Yeah.
or use. I did most of my job hunting in the COVID period, so
Yeah.
I didn't have the luxury of a lot of assessments. Everything went online
Okay.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, all right, what is it? Hear me out.
All right.
I mean, hear you out, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, I like, shout out to Kawai. She's the one that told me about this special trick. And it's from first-hand experience. It's powerful. It's powerful. All right.
I'm listening, man.
So assessment centers are essentially you go to the interviewing place. There's a whole bunch of other like interviewees, and they just make you do like tasks together usually. So what you should do is you turn up half an hour early, like super early, like before anyone's there, and then as the other interviewees are coming in, like introduce yourself, like talk to them, like ask them about like themselves. Just get on friendly terms with everyone as they're coming in, like one at a time. Just get to know them. And the reason for this is because once you get into the assessment center and you're given a group task, people kind of start already looking towards you as the leader of the group.
Oh, yeah.
So I did it for my transport interview. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, how's it going? I'm Justin. Like I study it. Blah blah blah. You don't have to be fake, right? Like, cause like
Yeah.
like just meeting people is like good in general. Like you should be friendly to people, because it's just a nice thing to do. But like as soon as we were given the task and as soon as it started, people were already looking towards me as the leader. Like, oh okay, like I'll like do this task. Like how about like Michael, you do this task. Kelly, you do this task or whatever.
Yeah.
Be nice about it. Don't be like a prick, of course. Like don't act like you're the boss. You want to be like a good leader kind of thing. If people are quiet during the assessment, talk to them. Like be like, oh Bill, like, what do you think of this problem? Give the quiet people a chance to speak. It shows that you're a really good person. You're a really good member of a team, right? Other ideas are like keeping time. Like if it's a timed assessment, you'd be like, oh, we've got like half an hour left, guys. We've got 15 minutes left. We've got 5 minutes left. Generally, just make yourself a good member of the team. And if you feel like you're not able to carry yourself as the team leader, even just introducing yourself, right? Like if you're normally a really quiet person, taking that step to introduce yourself, people will probably ask you for your opinion. Like they're more likely to ask you for your opinion than someone who is just completely quiet at the beginning. Like, because imagine it, if like someone is like just talking, like, and then they're like, oh, who should I ask for like help? Is it
They
the
don't
guy
even know your name. Why would I?
Yeah. Like
What
why
do you
would
think,
you?
Mister in the blue shirt? Like they're not gonna say that. Oh, that is so true.
But
Oh.
if you've introduced yourself to the person,
Yeah.
then they're going to be like, oh, what do you think, Cal?
Yeah.
So just get on good terms with your other interviewees.
Oh, that is, and I don't know. I don't want to undermine this, but is it a bit of a power play? From my perspective, I feel like there's a bit of a power play coming early, and you introducing yourself to them. There is an authority that you set. It's like, I'm here, you coming
Yeah.
into my territory, and I love it. And
Yeah.
I feel like
It's very
that
much
is-
a power move.
I love it. That is seriously amazing. Where did she get this idea from? It's bloody genius. Did she come up with this?
No. Kawai told me. Yeah.
Oh,
She
yeah,
gave
but
me
like,
this advice. Yeah.
Did she
Oh,
tell you,
would
like,
she come off with it? I don't know,
Yeah.
bro.
she, like, from
she
experience,
came
she's
up
like,
with it.
she's realized that's the way to do it or something? Like,
Yeah, that'd be a question for her next time I see her.
that's amazing. That's, oh my God. I love that. Just giving people something to latch on because you've introduced, you've broken the ice. So once the assessment center actually starts, you hit the ground running.
Yeah.
That is bloody genius, man. I'm honestly blown away. Like, that's crazy. I'm glad you hid that from the notes so that you can like hit me with that.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
real
yeah.
time. Bro, I'm not even kidding. When COVID starts to ease up a little bit, I might have to like jump through a couple of assessment centers. But I feel like damn,
That's a power move, right? It's
that's a
my
real
special
power
move.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Alright.
that.
I think that's about time. So, thank you, Cal. Like, I hope this was useful. I feel like we covered a lot of good points, Cal. What do you reckon?
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure like there's something out there for someone. So and we wish you guys all the best. You know, praying for you.
All right, let's close off with our song recommendations. My one is Cups by Anna Kendrick, but it's specifically a cover by Senzawa, this like YouTuber. I've just been listening to it all week. It's very cute.
Yeah. Oh, is this the song from the movie Pitch Perfect? Like,
It is.
ah, okay. Is
It's
there
a
any
good song.
twist on this cover, or is it just like a pure cover, just really good rendition?
Just a pure cover. It's not even like a proper cover. It's just like she was singing it like on a live stream, I think, with like on like a karaoke game. And I don't know, bro.
And
I
then
just-
people clipped it and then turned it into an MP3 or like a
yeah.
actual thing that
They
you can
just
listen to.
clipped it
Oh,
onto a video.
yeah, nice. Oh, actually, can I change mine? I want to change my song. I know I
Yep.
wrote down something. The song that I wanted to refer to is from the trailer of Evangelion that I kept sending you last time.
Okay. Yeah.
It's called One Last Kiss. The movie's coming out tomorrow, so the song's gonna be coming out tomorrow as well. But
Yeah.
serious, that song is straight fire. Like, it's one of those few anime songs that I'm like, oh my God. I don't know what it's by or who it's by. But I think One Last Kiss, if you type in Evangelion, you'll find it, and it'll be out soon, you know, on
Yeah.
iTunes and things like that. But yeah, really good song. You should check it out because I know you're into like anime music and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, we'll check it out. One last.
I mean,
kiss.
we're gonna watch a movie anyways, so
Yeah,
we'll see it.
we'll see. All right. Thank you so much, Cal. It was a great
Justin.
conversation.
I seriously learned so much. I'm not even kidding. I'm serious.
And thank you everyone for listening. Bye.
Thank you. Says.